Our site, the Wilma H. Shiremeyer Olentangy River Wetland Research Park, is a 52-acre artificial wetland on the western bank of the Olentangy River, located just north of Ohio State's campus. The site was initially a fallow field known as Doddridge Bottoms that was prone to flooding before the first wetlands were built on the site in 1994 by Dr. William Mish.
Over the years, wetlands have been used as a tool for research, hosting hundreds of undergraduate researchers with multiple peer-reviewed studies in the natural sciences accredited to it.
Since our site is a swamp, there are already a lot of mature trees in the landscape. A few that we have identified are red maple, eastern cottonwoods, American sycamores, and hackberry, though there are numerous other species on the property.
Here at the Olentangy Wetland Research Center, several members of the community, including students, utilize the trails and the bike paths to get exercise, come and see wildlife, and just be out in nature.
The primary problem facing the Olentangy River wetlands is the presence of invasive species, primarily Amur honeysuckle, Lonaceria macyi, and Lesser celandine, Ficaria verna. Both species are found on the entirety of the 52-acre complex, though both are especially prevalent in the bottomland hardwood forest. This is the location of our proposed restoration project, consisting of the removal of these invasives to free up the shrub and herbaceous layers of the forest to allow for the establishment of native seedlings. The Moor honeysuckle invades an ecosystem by changing the microclimates within the habitat. It does so by depleting soil nutrients and moisture, creating dense shade, and releasing allelopathic compounds that inhibit the growth of other plants. Honeysuckle also gets its leaves earlier than most native plants, giving it an early advantage in establishing itself in the ecosystem. We can see this very clearly in the footage provided. Every 6 to 10 foot tall plant with leaves is a Moor honeysuckle. This makes it very easy to identify and subsequently remove. Our other invasive, Lesser celandine, invades ecosystems by establishing itself very early in the season before any natives have sprouted. It produces a dense network of underground roots and tubers that inhibit the growth of other plants later in the season. Lesser celandine is a much more difficult invasive to remove than honeysuckle, as it truly blankets the forest floor and is often in close proximity to other desirable plants, making the use of herbicides difficult. Lesser celandine also requires the use of glyphosate-based herbicides, which must be applied in late winter or early spring, when leaves are visible, prior to complete sprouting, and temperatures must be below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Though herbicides can only manage lesser celandine, they cannot truly eradicate it from an ecosystem.
The best removal method for honeysuckle is the application of an herbicide. This is done by cutting the plant off at its base and applying the herbicide to the raw stump before it's allowed to dry. Ideally, this would be done from late fall to winter for the best results.
After the removal and treatment of these invasives, we plan on planting silky dogwood and spicebush to replace the honeysuckle in the shrub layer and a more general native wetland seed mix to help compete against lesser celandine in the herbaceous layer. The labor required for this removal and planting will come from volunteers both from OSU clubs such as the Society for Ecosystem Restoration and directly from the public. We believe the location of the park on the Olentangy River bike path will nicely advertise the restoration effort and encourage public engagement. Though its positioning in the public will also pose restoration challenges, as unwanted anthropogenic effects such as litter, soil compaction, and damaged seedlings are inevitable.
The wildlife-urban interface is an important concept here at the reserve. Many people frequent the park to hike, visit the wetland building, or take in the sounds.
Lots of people come here to birdwatch.
The short-term goals of our restoration are that after 1 year, we hope to see our dogwood and spicebush seedlings reach a height of 12 inches and have a less than 40% mortality rate, as well as the removal of 50% of the mature honeysuckle plants, reduction of lesser celandine cover by 10%, and the organization of community volunteer groups. The medium-term goals of our restoration project are that after 10 years, we hope to see the 100% removal of honeysuckle and the reduction of lesser celandine cover by 50%, as well as the growth of our spicebush and silky dogwoods to at least 5 feet in height, and the continued involvement of the community in the site. Our long-term goals for the site are that by year 20, we hope to see the successful control of invasive species, the complete integration of our spicebush and dogwood seedlings into the shrub layer, and permanent public engagement within the park. To monitor the progression of the restoration, vegetation surveys of the site will be taken every year. In these surveys, we plan to primarily monitor seedling height and mortality, as well as the presence of our invasive species. The results of these yearly vegetation surveys will inform whether or not herbicide application is successful at our site, or if other methods of control are needed. If herbicide application does not work to remove the honeysuckle and lesser celandine, we plan to introduce grazers and browsers into the ecosystem, most probably domestic goats or rabbits from OSU's Department of Agriculture. This introduced herbivory will hopefully reduce the presence of invasive species and allow for the establishment of natives.
While we are working to get rid of invasive species, we are working to make a better habitat for native species, such as mallards, Canada goose, white-tailed deer, wood duck, American black duck, sora, Lee's sandpiper, ring-billed gull, greater yellowlegs, spotted sandpiper, northern shovelers, great blue herons, killdeer, downy woodpecker, northern cardinal, house sparrow, red-tailed hawk, barn swallow, American robin, great egret, and blue jays. These are just some of the species that live the wetlands.